We have news out of the Toronto Maple Leafs organization. They've extended defenseman Justin Holl. Plus, we also have some pretty significant injuries out of Pittsburgh and Columbus. We'll discuss all the latest news coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have some news items from the NHL I wanted to discuss today. Kick things off here with the Toronto Maple Leafs announcing that they've extended right shot defenseman Justin Holl on a 3-year contract extension valued at $2 million per season. Now, this contract does not have any bonuses. It's just straight salary consistently the entire way through. Not front loaded, not back loaded. It's exactly what it is. $2 million per year. So that's actually a pretty decent deal considering Justin Holl was a healthy scratch at a significant portion of last season. He certainly had to play more this year, a little bit out of necessity, but has certainly performed pretty decent and has earned himself a pretty regular spot there in the Maple Leafs top 6. Certainly a lot of question marks on the Leafs blue line beyond the current season, especially on the right side. They've got a lot of pending UFAs as well as RFAs, so they're certainly going to have probably a different look blue line again next year. Just like this year's blue line is quite different compared to last year. It's certainly a revolving door. It's certainly trying to line up all the necessary contracts to make everything work because they do have a very tight salary cap situation due to all those high contracts that they have in the forward group. So it'll be interesting to see what this means for other guys like Tyson Barrie and Cody Ceci. Of course, Barrie, Ceci, and Holl could make up the right side if they were all to return like they have been for much of this year. I do think it's probably unlikely that Ceci doesn't come back. I do think the Leafs, though, especially the way Barrie's played under Sheldon Keefe, will probably be very interested in retaining him. It's just going to prove challenging based on what he needs for a contract. The fact that he struggled early in the year might have brought his value down a little bit, but if he has a really strong second half of the year and continues playing better like he has since Keefe has been the head coach, then that's certainly going to bring his value back up. And plus, he's got a history there of being a pretty solid 50-60 point defenseman, solid power play guy. So we'll see what happens. But Justin Holl certainly earned his contract extension. He's always been a pretty decent player, just hasn't had a ton of opportunity, but he certainly seized the opportunity this year. And the Leafs and Kyle Dubas have decided to reward him with a 3-year contract extension here right before New Year. So happy New Year, Justin Holl. Nice 3-year deal to take into next season and beyond here. So like I said, we'll see what this means for their overall cap situation on that blue line, because it's going to be a bit of a revolving door. I would imagine guys like Rasmus Sandin and Timothy Liljegren almost need to be on the team. So I think they almost need to make sure that they're ready to take spots next year so that their entry-level contracts can certainly help with the cap situation, and at the same time help with those players' development and getting more regular NHL time as they hopefully become a big part of the team's future. Now, as I mentioned, there's a couple of other pretty significant injuries that are going to impact some other teams in the Metro Division. And of course, as we discussed the other day after the John Tortorella rant, after the Columbus Blue Jackets lost a game to the whole clock issue and the referees not reviewing it in that whole situation. Of course, Jonas Korpisalo was hurt in the shootout, which ultimately now we have the full details. He's going to be out for about 6 weeks, or 4 to 6 weeks is with exact prognosis here. Apparently, he has a torn meniscus in his knee, so that's certainly not a too serious of an injury, but it's certainly not super minor either. Those injuries can take their toll on your body over the years. It's something that, especially for goaltenders, they need to be very flexible, and that can impact things longer term. So, of course, Korpisalo's been the main goalie in Columbus this year after Bobrovsky departed via free agency. So it's going to be a big blow for Columbus, who has struggled this year and is certainly trying to remain to be a relevant team in that division. But with all the exits they had after last season, that's certainly proven to be a very challenging season for Tortorella and company in Columbus, and this is certainly not going to help. Hopefully, goaltender Elvis Merzlikins can kind of take the ball here and run with it for a while Korpisalo is out injured. He's proven to be a pretty solid goalie at other levels before and looks like he has a lot of potential, so we'll see if he can seize the opportunity here. Now, the other more significant injury that happened last night is Penguins forward Jake Guentzel is likely done for the season. He suffered a pretty serious shoulder injury last night. He was going in on the rush, tapped in a goal, but of course was coming in with a lot of speed, tripped over the stick of defenseman Thomas Chabot of the Senators, and went a hard head shoulder first into the end boards, and certainly left the ice thankfully on his own, but you could tell that shoulder was in bad shape. The arm was pretty limp. He went off straight down the tunnel to the dressing room, did not return, and then the Penguins announced today that he required surgery and is looking at a 4 to 6 month recovery time. So if we're looking at closer to 6 months, then his season is definitely over. probably fair to say that even if the Penguins went on another deep playoff run, that he more than likely wouldn't be able to return. It's really unfortunate as well. Jake Guentzel was having a pretty spectacular season. The Penguins have faced a ton of adversity this year with injuries, but thankfully for them, most of the players that have been called up to replace and take advantage of the injured players have played really well and kept them very much in the hunt here and for a playoff spot and to be sitting pretty decent in the Metro Division. But this is going to be an even bigger blow. This is not a minor thing where he's going to be out for a few weeks or something like that where it's easier to overcome. Jake Guentzel was on par to have a career season. He now has 43 points in 39 games as a huge part of that Penguin offense. Of course, Crosby's already out right now. Have Guentzel out as well. It's a major blow for Pittsburgh. I do think they'll continue to be relevant here and still fight for a playoff spot, but the longer-term outlook for their long-term regular season playoff success just took a big blow here. So we'll see who else can step up for the Penguins and replace him, but you just can't replace that kind of production in your lineup. It's not that simple. No matter how good a rookie plays, it's pretty much unlikely that they're going to get the same type of numbers. Now, of course, that very well could increase the likelihood here that we might see General Manager Jim Rutherford try to make a trade, take advantage of the long-term injury reserve that he could, relief that he can get from the salary cap, to maybe take advantage and bring in another forward who might be able to pick up some of that slack left off by Guentzel. There's all kinds of forwards out there that are pending UFAs that very well might fit, on a short-term basis at least, to see what they can do. Obviously, with Jake Guentzel having a longer-term contract, you're not going to bring in somebody that's tied up on a longer-term deal. You need somebody ideally on a shorter-term expiring contract who can be like a bit of a rental player, come in, hopefully replace some of that, if not all, depending on the player. And then obviously, hopefully that they can still have the playoff success and maybe try to go on another run here. But we'll see what happens with the Penguins and Jim Rutherford, whether or not he'll be aggressive to replace Guentzel. He still has time to be patient. We still have a number of weeks leading into the NHL trade deadline where things are going to get more and more interesting, and the rumor mill, I'm sure, will pick up in Pittsburgh now that this injury has taken place. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments. What do you think of the Justin Holl contract extension, and what kind of impact are these injuries going to have on the Blue Jackets and Penguins? And will we see the Penguins and Jim Rutherford maybe swing a deal here to try to bring in another scoring forward to replace some of what Guentzel provides in that top six? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and we'll continue the conversation. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing and turning on your notifications so you don't miss any future content. And give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it as well. I'd appreciate it if you did. As always, thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.